A widely overlooked figure in the history of Butch Cassidy, someone who I believe actually created Cassidy as the type of outlaw that he was, is Otto Franc. Full name Otto Franc von Liechtenstein. He was a member of the German nobility, and in the aftermath of the Indian Wars, it was very popular amongst European nobility to send over their sons and daughters to open up these huge ranches on the open range. They could turn a fortune from it, and they could send it back to Europe, and they could also influence the politics of a fledgling American state. Well, Otto Franc came here in the late 1870s with Texas Jack Omohundro and established the Pitchfork Ranch. By the 1890s, he basically was the law of the land. He was a baron, and he owned a lot of politicians in the new state government. Well, Otto Franc had arrested Butch Cassidy and Cassidy's friend Al Hayner with the property of 3 horses, claiming that they stole these thoroughbred horses from his farm. Now, Cassidy and Hayner said, no, we've been up here for years. These are our horses. And Hayner is actually acquitted, but Cassidy goes to the Wyoming Territorial Prison. Well, the problem is, this is the same time as the Johnson County War. So in the several years, because Cassidy's there up until 1896, in the several years he's there, he sees all of these good people coming and being executed who say, they accuse me of being an outlaw, they accuse me of being a cattle rustler, but I was just a homesteader. They come in and they kill my family, they kill my son, they kill my wife, and this is the story of Tom Horn. He did just that, and they send them off to the jail and accuse them all of these fake things, and then they execute them. And Butch Cassidy grew to hate Otto Franc. Now, I don't believe that Cassidy got out of jail and killed Otto Franc, but Otto Franc made a lot of enemies. In fact, in the aftermath of the Johnson County War, he had bankrolled all of the invaders and got them to go back to Texas. He basically paid to let them off. And that was on opposite sides of the state, but you can see that he was a member of the Wyoming Stock Growers Association, and it was in his vested interest to kill as many homesteaders that were squatting on his range as possible. Well, in 1903, he's shot in the head, and nobody knows who killed Otto Franc von Liechtenstein, but he is the man who settled the Meteetsee Valley, and by extension was the first settlement of the Bighorn Basin that Butch Cassidy grew to be famous in, and it was around this area that he drew the first members of the Wild Bunch.
Now, as far as I've been told, the museum in Meteetsee doesn't have much of a display on Cassidy or Otto Franc, and they wanted to get a full display, and they applied for a grant for it to make something about Otto Franc, but they didn't get the grant, and all they have is this photo of him. Actually, I think this is the first photo I've seen of him, and apparently they say Butch Cassidy did work for Otto Franc. They worked on his ranch, and there was some tension between him and Otto Franc, which is weird because everybody I've met that has family stories about Cassidy says that he was such a likable person that that was passed down for over 100 years, but Otto Franc died mysteriously in 1903. They said they know that, but they don't have solid record of Butch Cassidy being arrested up here, but that's the common story. In fact, there's not much story or display about Cassidy. They said we've got a couple of books, and you can see one of those books right over here. They got quite a few of them.